Kakashi Hatsuki vs Satoru Gojo, a fight between two white-haired charismatic senseis that have captured everyone's heart for how simultaneously dangerous and cool they are. However, in the battle between the strongest Jonin and Sorcerer, there can only be one winner, which I will determine by going through both characters' individual abilities and techniques, AP/durability, and lastly their speed. So let's not waste any more time and get to the truth of the matter. We'll begin the scaling with the honored one himself, Satoru Gojo, and his abilities and techniques, which all stem from Gojo's curse technique, Limitless. At its base level, Limitless is just an innate technique which is derived from the Gojo clan, which grants a user nigh absolute control over space through cursed energy manipulation at an atomic level, resulting in multiple subsequent results and techniques, the most notable of which being Infinity. Infinity in Jujutsu Kaisen is a concept in the verse that basically represents space, with Gojo himself saying infinity is something that exists around him at all times, and Gojo, as I mentioned before, can manipulate this space on an atomic level thanks to Limitless. These two things in combination produce a barrier-like effect that Gojo can use to prevent threats from so much as touching him, as they will simply slow down to a halt the closer they get to infinity. And after fighting a character named Toji, Gojo goes from having to activate this technique manually to now being able to have it active 24/7, 365. On top of the technique now having an automatic threat detection based on mass, speed, shape, cursed energy level, and threat level of an object. Make no mistakes though, Limitless can also be applied offensively, with Gojo's most recognizable attacks being red, blue, and purple. Curse technique Lapse Blue is achieved when a Limitless user greatly amplifies the amount of curse energy poured into the technique. This brings the concept of negative numbers and negative distances into reality, forcing real space to compensate and fill the area by drawing everything toward the impossibility, generating a strong force of attraction similar to a powerful magnet, and flowing higher amounts of curse energy into the technique generates a larger field of attraction in return, with the magnetic force being powerful enough to tear apart anything in moments. So a human body hit with this technique will usually implode instantly, but it can also be used to attract two targets to one another across wide distances. This same effect can also be used to make Gojo move at high speed so fast that it makes it look like he's teleporting, and he can also fly with this. That's not it for Lapse Blue though, as Gojo can also access what's known as his maximum cursed energy output, Azure Glow, which allows him to create a center of gravity which can move at will that draws in and crushes anything within a certain radius. Gojo's next ability, Curse Technique Reversal Red, is on the opposite spectrum, as it's powered by positive reverse cursed energy as opposed to negative cursed energy, producing a strong repelling effect rather than an attracting one. The technique manifests itself as a small but extremely bright red orb on the tip of Gojo's finger, representing the very essence of convergence and divergence brought into reality. When released, the explosive output is massive, creating a giant shockwave that blows everything away without prejudice, as the overall cursed energy output of red is more than twice that of blue. And as most of you know, with a combination of red and blue, Gojo is able to create his next technique, Purple. Hollow Purple is a technique that brings the concept of motion and reversal into reality, as it's born from the merging of both infinities blue and red to produce an imaginary mash that rushes forward and erases everything in its path. And as opposed to the attraction of blue or the repulsion of red, purple is an extraordinary destructive wave of annihilation that seemingly destroys enemies and anything it comes into contact with on an atomic level, giving Gojo conventional durability negation and an attack that's faster than light if you follow the tachyon theory. Moving on though, it's now time to talk about Gojo's signature Six Eyes and his supposed infinite cursed energy. Gojo with his Six Eyes is able to see cursed energy and sense the presence of those without it from far distances, similar to the Byakugan or Sage Mode from Naruto. The Six Eyes also allow Gojo limitless use of his curse techniques, lowering the cost of using said techniques to basically zero, despite the insanely high cursed energy requirement. So while Gojo doesn't technically have limitless cursed energy, and even the likes of Yuta has more cursed energy than he does, since the cursed energy expenditure is on such a minute level for Gojo, he might as well have unlimited cursed energy. Also, with his near unlimited cursed energy, there's no limit to how much Gojo can use his reverse curse technique, which to put it simply allows him to heal from any non-brain injury, which is classified as mid-low regeneration by versus battle week. But with that out of the way, we can now talk about the technique that everybody's been waiting for, Gojo's domain expansion, Unlimited Void. This domain expansion brings Gojo and his target inside Limitless itself, where a vast void of infinite knowledge and boundless raw information floods into the target's mind, overwhelming them to the point where they're completely immobilized, similar to Itachi's Tsukuyomi from Naruto, making Unlimited Void an almost guaranteed win once it ensnares a target. The complete incapacitation of the opponent is caused by a phenomenon where the target will be able to see and feel everything while not being able to see or feel anything at the same time. All the actions one has taken in life is forced upon them infinitely, and they can't do anything but die slowly. The last ability I'll talk about for Gojo, since it's extremely relevant to his AP/durability, is his access to the Black Flash, which upon use exponentially increases a user's cursed energy to the power of 2.5. And since Gojo's AP/durability would be directly tied to his cursed energy, this exponential increase would apply to him as well. Not only that though, after using Black Flash, a user is able to enter a zone that allows them to access 120% of their power for the rest of the duration of the fight. But speaking of power, it's now time to talk about Gojo and the JJK versus highly contested level of power. And to cut straight to the chase, I would like to bring up this feat of Yuki creating a black hole against Kenjaku. And the energy required to create this black hole was calculated to be 643 yotatons of TNT, which is enough energy to make Jupiter disappear. But how does this scale to Gojo, you may ask? Well, Gojo is by far and away considered one of the strongest sorcerers and characters in the entirety of Jujutsu Kaisen, with only a 19-finger Sukuna being able to rival him currently. Meaning Gojo would logically upscale from any feat a character in Jujutsu Kaisen can perform with cursed energy, including Yuki's black hole, which, to reiterate, was used against Kenjaku, who was for all intensive purposes tanking the full force of the attack. The same Kenjaku who, with his 1,000 years of combat experience, knowledge of the Heiden era, and the aid of the disaster curses, still sees no way of beating Gojo and opts to seal him in the prison realm instead. And Kenjaku's fear of Gojo is completely warranted and cemented, as after Gojo emerges from the prison realm, he heads for Kenjaku and was just about to casually kill him before being interrupted by Sukuna, meaning Gojo would have to be stronger than Yuki's black hole to even kill Kenjaku, giving him large planet level AP/durability when using his cursed energy. But that's not all, as with Black Flash's exponential increase of 2.5, Gojo's attack potency would shoot up to a ridiculous number of 7.3 times 10 to the 72nd power, which is an insane multi-galaxy level. Segueing into Gojo's speed though, he scales directly to Sukuna, who in this calc was able to move at Mach 270 or massively hypersonic speeds. And like I mentioned before, Hollow Purple is a faster than light attack, giving Gojo a faster than light attack as well. Moving on to Kakashi and his abilities and techniques, he's stated to have copied and learned over 1,000 jutsu, however he only uses like 6 in combat and is more known for his signature technique, the Lightning Blade. An assassination technique which Kakashi performs by gathering lightning in the palm of his hand to increase the cutting and penetration power of his attacks, with said power correlating to how strong Kakashi is at a certain point in time, which I'll get into in the attack potency portion of the video. However, I would also like to mention that Kakashi has multiple variations of his lightning blade, such as his lightning beast running jutsu and lightning cables that he can use at mid and long range. Moving on though, it's time to talk about Kakashi's strongest technique, the Kamui, a space-time dojutsu that allows Kakashi and the original owner of Kakashi Sharingan, Obito, to transfer objects to and from another dimension. With Obito's right Mangekyo, a short-range contact version of Kamui is used. Obito most often uses this version on himself, sucking himself into his right eye to enter Kamui's dimension, and then exiting back to whatever location he pleases. That's not it though, as the other application of Obito's right Mangekyo, when activated, allows him to turn his body intangible, automatically transferring body parts that otherwise would have been in contact with the overlapping matter into Kamui's dimension. And everything he's touching, including his clothes, weapons, and even other people, will become intangible too. Obito often uses this ability defensively to make all attacks pass through him harmlessly, but since the transfer is done unconsciously, the downside of this technique is that Obito can't physically interact with anything he wasn't in contact with prior to the activation of the jutsu, forcing Obito to turn solid if he wishes to engage in combat using taijutsu. However, it is possible for him to weave chakra and utilize ninjutsu even while sipping through substances. The other weakness of the right eye is that Obito can only keep his body slit through for approximately 5 minutes, and as long as his intangibility is activated, he cannot use Kamui for teleportation. And in the brief moment between when he solidifies and when he teleports, Obito and by extension Kakashi is vulnerable. Skipping ahead though, with Obito's left Mangekyo, a long-range version of Kamui can be used, where Kakashi looks at a target and creates a barrier space around them, with the barrier size being determined by him. When Kakashi concentrates, anything within the barrier is pulled towards the center, transferring the target to Kamui's dimension. And Kakashi effectively uses this ability to mutilate opponents on several occasions. And Kakashi can even employ this ability defensively by blowing away harmful attacks. The only downside to this jutsu is that when Kakashi uses it, it expends a great deal of chakra, which would leave Kakashi bedridden. However, by the time Kakashi possesses both of Obito's Mangekyo Sharingan, this strain is non-existent, and Kakashi, even before getting both Mangekyo Sharingan, was shown to have ridiculous chakra reserves in the war arc, allowing him to spam the left eye's abilities regardless. Speaking of both Obito's Mangekyo Sharingan though, as most know, as a direct result of possessing both Obito's Mangekyo Sharingan abilities and somehow having 6 past chakra, Kakashi unlocks unlocks not just the Susanoo, but the perfect Susanoo, a gigantic humanoid avatar made of the user's chakra which surrounds them and fights on their behalf, and boosts the user's offensive and defensive capabilities massively, as well as giving the user the ability to fly in its perfected state. Kakashi Susanoo in particular also has the ability to use Kamui Shuriken, which are large projectiles shaped like Obito's Mangekyo Sharingan that Kakashi imbues with the Kamui. The Shuriken are then launched by Susanoo, rapidly spinning towards the intended target before cutting and instantly warping them into Kamui's dimension on contact. And just like with the Shuriken, Kakashi can form a lightning blade imbued with the power of Kamui, which transfers anything that the blade pierces into the dimension instantly. Also, before I end the abilities section, the last few things I want to go over for Kakashi's standard Sharingan abilities, like the Eye of Insight, Precognition, and the Eye of Hypnotism, which can trap targets in horrible illusions that can leave them paralyzed. With abilities and techniques out of the way though, we can jump straight into attack potency / durability, and before anyone jumps to conclusions, no, Kakashi does not scale to Kaguya's expansive Truth Seeker orb, nor will I be explaining how strong I think said orb is. My reasoning for this is simply because there's zero evidence that Kaguya's durability scales to her expansive Truth Seeking orb, and even if it did, Kakashi didn't damage Kaguya by virtue of power or attack potency, he simply damages her by using Kamui Shuriken to mutilate her transform state and Kamui Lightning Blade to damage her actual body. And if you're expecting me to determine this Kakashi's AP, then I'm sorry to tell you that this is next to impossible, since we literally don't see Kakashi using a single non-Kamui attack when using his perfect Susanoo. But this is not irrelevant anyway, considering how busted Kamui is, and considering the fact that Kakashi would use it over his regular abilities anyway. The same goes for his durability, as well as who needs durability if you're just going to pass through attacks regardless. Regarding Kakashi's speed though, since it's extremely pivotal to the conversation at hand, as a highball you can easily scale Kakashi and other god tier characters in Naruto to massively faster than light speeds by upscaling from KCM Naruto, who has been calculated to be able to move at 72 times faster than light. And KCM Minato would be a bare minimum of 10 times faster than this, since inferior amps such as the One Tails Cloak are comparable to a CM2 transformation, which is a stated 10 times multiplier, on top of Minato's base that it was already compared to KCM Naruto, giving KCM Minato combat and movement speeds of 720 times faster than light. And Kakashi, even before receiving his DMS, was already as fast as this KCM Minato, meaning he would also have massively faster than light combat reaction and movement speeds via scaling. But with both Kakashi and Gojo being scaled, we can now determine a winner. And unlike most of my versus matchups, this one doesn't have a clear victor due to the fact that Gojo's infinity is highly contentious, since it quite literally makes Gojo unbeatable if his opponent has no means of bypassing the technique or any way to counter it, which one could argue means Kakashi would easily neg Gojo with Sharingan Genjutsu. However, the problem with that is there are some who accept cross-burst equalization if it benefits them, and some who argue that you flat out can't equalize in a cross-burst setting due to the power systems being extremely different. I myself am in neither camp, as it really just depends on who you're debating and the argument you're trying to put together. Therefore, if you do equalize versus, then Kakashi would have several win cons between the Sharingan Genjutsu and Kamui use, due to his vastly superior speed and the fact that in recent chapters, we literally see that with great or powerful enough curse energy that one can bypass infinity. And I think it's a safe assumption that with versus equalization, that Kakashi's Kamui would be a powerful or great enough technique, considering he's one of the god tiers of Naruto Shippuden, just like the Sukuna who damaged Gojo. However, if you don't equalize versus, then this matchup could end in Gojo's favor, as despite him not being able to hurt Kakashi with his powerful hacks and superior AP due to the speed difference in Kamui, Unlimited Void still has an area of effect that doesn't even require Gojo to touch Kakashi, which could then lead one to argue that Kakashi would have no idea what Gojo's doing, even if he's faster, and would have no reason to move out of Gojo's domain expansion. However, someone could just as easily argue Kakashi would recognize what's going on, or at least feel threatened enough to teleport away before anything happens. Or that since Kamui is just a jutsu that opens a hole in space-time and isn't a conventional attack that Infinity can detect, that Kakashi could bypass Infinity that way, but it's really just up to interpretation at that point. However, to give my final evaluation on this matchup in SPA format, which includes versus equalization, I think it's safe to say Kakashi could speed blitz in one shot and DMS. However, if you don't use versus equalization, this is highly debatable due to Infinity and Unlimited and how they would interact with Kakashi and the Kamui. But if you want my wholehearted opinion on how I think Gojo versus Kakashi actually goes, I think an easier case can be made that Kakashi will win due to Kamui being one of the most busted abilities in fiction and how fast Kakashi is, on top of the fact that most people equalize in a cross-verse setting for the sake of convenience. And let's just say you don't equalize in a cross-verse setting, even the author of JJK couldn't write a serious fight for Gojo with physical contact without opting for something as simple as great cursed energy can bypass infinity. So like I argued, I don't see why Kamui wouldn't be great enough to bypass infinity, considering Kakashi is a god tier of his respective verse, and the fact that it's debatable on whether infinity's defense even works against Kamui. So I view Kakashi as the winner of this matchup and also as the superior combatant overall. However, I also see Gojo as an extremely powerful individual in his own right, as this video is not intended to be a hit piece on JJK or Gojo, but rather to be an informative guide on both Kakashi and Gojo's abilities as a whole. But with the evaluation now being concluded, I'd like to quickly ask that you like the video as well as comment and subscribe, as it really helps boost the video in the algorithm and helps more than you know. Also, if you enjoy crossverse videos and want to see more, make sure to comment down below to give me the indication that these are entertaining for you guys, as it'll give me the incentive to do more. But with all that being said, I hope you guys are having a great day wherever you are, and until next time.